Let's go to the sales tax parameters. So that will be under general ledger only. In general ledger parameters, there is a menu called as sales tax. So here in general ledger, under ledger setup, we have general ledger parameters. We all know that. If I click on this general ledger parameters, so I can see here sales tax. We have discussed everything else sales tax except sales tax. So we have certain parameters for sales tax. Let us discuss what are these up to and what they are. So when you hover your mouse on one of these, just place your mouse and you will see the details of it actually. See it is called as help text. So help text regarding, to understand this parameter. So it will be written in detail. What is it up to? So select a default item. So here you can see item sales tax group, where you can select one default item sales tax group like all here. What is it up to? Select this default item sales tax group that is used when journal lines are created. So for more information, set up default item sales tax group for a main account. If you have not defined an item sales tax group for the main account in the main accounts, the item sales tax group selected here will be displayed. So whenever you create any journal or any invoice, vendor invoice journal or anything, automatically the sales tax group will be picked from here. That's what it means to say. If at all you give anything separately to a particular main account or to a particular item, so it will be picked from there, from the item level. If you do not give anything, automatically this will be picked as the item sales tax group for every journal that you are going to create. Let's see, suppose for an example, I'm going to create a vendor invoice journal. I'll select this vendor invoice journal. I'll go to lines. Takes a while to load. Now I'll select a vendor. I'll select our favorite vendor whom we used multiple times, so Tata Company, for which we already have default sales tax group. Okay. Let it load. It's taking time to load here. So automatically you see here, there is a sales tax group populating when you select a vendor group. Because when you select a vendor, because for the vendor you have already given sales tax group. Now I'll select an offset account here. Something like expense account, rent expense, let's say. I'm sorry, I think we did not save this one. Wait a second. Just remove this. Since I saved this parameters, I'll just go back. Again, I'll select the journal, go to lines. Just remove this line and create once again. Second, please. Click new. Select the vendor. Tata Company. Let's say today's invoice date. Oh, come on. Invoice amount is invoice number 5689. Crediting the vendor for 10,000. Let's say suppose there is a 10% discount here, as you can see. We'll select an offset account as some expense account, some other expenses account, and save it. So as soon as I save it, you see here item sales tax group is populating once we refresh it. So how come item sales tax group is populating here automatically, even though we did not link anything to the main account? For this main account, we do not have any item sales tax group linked automatically. We can link that. I showed you already how to link a specific item sales tax group for a main account. I can actually do it here in the legal entity overrides by clicking on sales tax. But for this main account, even though we did not link anything, I can see this is coming here. That is coming from the parameters page that we are discussing. here general ledger parameters in the sales tax where we gave this item sales tax group to be defaulted. If at all that particular main account is having another specific item sales tax group, that will come here. If it is not having anything, then this will be taken from here, whatever you have assigned here as a default item sales tax group for the legal entity. So that's how this one work. Then calculation date type means which rate is picked, according to which date sales tax rate is picked, according to invoice date that is given here. Invoice date in the sense the date that you give here in this page, in this field, according to the invoice date, whatever is the amount of tax rate is there on the tax code, accordingly tax will be calculated. Okay, on 5th of January, what is the tax rate and the tax code? So according to that tax rate only tax will be calculated. There can be chances that tax rate might alter, maybe before to the invoice date or after to the invoice date or on the invoice date. Tax rate sometimes alter. There are chances. So in that case, usually whenever you are posting the invoice or not posting the invoice, whenever the invoice you have dated, so according to that date only tax will be calculated. Suppose you are posting the invoice on 5th of January, but the invoice date is dated to be 1st of January. So the rate will be picked according to the 1st of January. There won't be much fluctuations in the tax rates, unlike exchange rates, but tax rates, sometimes tax rates might change or the slab of the tax might change. So in that situation, so which date system have to consider is what it is asking here. Calculation date type, every time the calculation is based upon the invoice date. Most of them would prefer to have invoice date as the calculation date. Some people will also pick delivery date. Delivery date in the sense the date on which the goods are delivered. So it's mostly applicable for the purchase orders and sales orders. Some purchase orders, the date on which you posted the product receipt will be considered as the tax calculation date, or that particular date's rate will be will be used for tax calculation. Or on the sales side, if you are delivering the goods today, so according to today's rate, tax will be calculated. If you are sending the invoice after 2 months also, today's rate only will be applicable, or today's tax rate only will be applicable. Even though the tax changes after 2 months, tax rate changes after 2 months, but whenever you are sending the invoice, the today's rate only will be applicable since you have selected delivery date and you have delivered the goods today. That's so. Document date is something like when the date when you have created the purchase order or sales order. Suppose you have created a sales order today to a customer and you have delivered the goods after 2 weeks and sent an invoice after 2 months. But the tax rate of today when you have created that sales order is applicable. Today's tax rate only will be considered by the system. So that's it. Document date in the sense the date when you created that document, either the purchase order or the sales order. According to that date, the date of creation of the document, sales tax rate will be picked. So it would be by default invoice date actually whenever you post an invoice, either the purchase order invoice or the sales order invoice or a vendor invoice journal, whatever the date that you give here or there in those invoices. According to that date only, actually the tax rate will be picked from the tax code. The tax rate, as I told you, doesn't fluctuate much, but in case if there are any fluctuations in that 1 or 2 months, there are any changes in the slab of tax rate. So according to that date, on that particular date, whatever rate is there, according to that rate only, it will be picked. Okay. Then legal entity for intercompany tax posting. So what is the legal entity in which the tax has to be posted if it is an intercompany transaction? So we have two companies, right? Destination company and source company. Source company is where we are originating the transaction. Destination company is what in which the second voucher gets posted, or the intercompany that we use in the original transaction. So normally the tax postings will be done in destination company only if at all you are doing any intercompany transactions. Most often it will be in destination company. If not, you can select the source company if tax has to be posted to source company. That's it. Then we have calculation method. You can see here, select whether sales tax on invoice are calculated for each line or for all lines. The marginal base of any sales tax code is based on either of the lines. So mostly the calculation method is total, But if you have sales tax codes like unit wise calculation or line wise calculation, something like that, specific sales tax codes, then you can use calculation method on the basis of line. So tax will be calculated for each line separately, and I mean it will be calculated at each line separately rather than uh, at the end it will group, right, all the sales tax amount rather than grouping it to a total. It will calculate for separate line. In case if you have sales tax codes which are calculated for each unit or each line separately, so in that case you will use line, otherwise it will be total only all the time. So we have calculation methods in sales tax code, right? I sent you some document earlier, Microsoft document, how many methods there are, and net amount on the invoice or net amount of the invoice line, net or on the basis of units, on the basis of weight, something we have. So accordingly, if you have any other calculation type, you will use line, or if not, you will use total only. There is one more key parameter here. Amount includes sales tax. Means it is disabled, as you can see here. If it is disabled means amounts will not include sales tax, which means that, see, you have 10,000 amount here in the invoice and sales tax is calculated separately as 1200. So there is 12% sales tax. So 1200 is calculated separately. The total amount of invoice now is 10,000 plus 1200, which means 11,200 is the total amount of invoice. 10,000 is the original amount and 1200 is the tax. But if you have this amount include sales tax option enabled, it is at three levels actually. You have it here at the first level, which is the main level. Suppose if I say this, save this as amount include sales tax. Okay, I'll save the parameter and I'll go back out of this journal and I again reopen the journal and let's see the calculation differs. Here it is, and I'll go to lines. It's not differing. I'll just delete the line and create once again, no problem. Create new. Select the vendor. So before that, I'll just close this parameter space. There would be refresh issues most of the times. Vendor. Select invoice date, something like today. And we 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Credit 10,000. And select an offset account as other expenses. Save it. So still see 1200 here actually, and go into the sales tax. So it is still showing 1200. And let me do something else actually. Let me create a new journal. Okay, then I'll go to lines. Start a company. Invoice date INV 2345. I'll just keep that then again. And I'll select the offset account as other expenses. Again, it is showing 1200 only. Actually, the same parameter will be here in the general level or setup level actually, where amount include sales tax is enabled. Let's see now what happens. If you go to lines, so I can clearly see here that when I enable that parameter amount include sales tax in the journal, for this journal 10,000 is the actual amount, right? Tax calculated is not 1200. Within this 10,000 only tax will be included. If I post the journal will be posted for 10,000 only. See, the tax calculated amount is 1071.42. Here, so which is like this one. How tax is calculated, I'll show you. You can't find a calculator. Here it is. 10,000 is considered as the base amount within which tax is already included. So it is like divided by 112 into 100, 8928 again minus 10,000 1071.42. 1071.42. That's what I have. So if I click on sales tax here, you can see base amount is taken as 8,928.58, not 10,000. So entirely including the tax amount, the invoice amount will be 10,000. So if I use that amount include sales tax means the whatever the invoice amount is there, that will include the sales tax amount that is calculated. If I say that amount excludes sales tax, or if I disable that parameter, sales tax will be calculated upon the invoice amount 10,000 plus another 6%. But here when I use amount include sales tax, tax will be included within the 10,000 amount itself, or it will be automatically calculated and included in the 10,000 amount itself. Then the invoice base amount or the origin amount will become 8,928, and the tax amount will become like this. So the remaining amount 1,071 will be the tax amount. So that's how we calculated, right? Here, first option you have it in the here in the this is very important parameter actually. In the sales tax parameters, first you have this option, which means for every journal that you create, amount will be included into sales tax. So amount comes with the inclusion of sales tax. If you disable this, sales tax will be calculated on the origin amount separately. That's how in India we usually do, with excluding the sales tax from the amount and calculating sales tax separately. But in some countries, they might be in need that tax should be included in the amount of invoice. Origin, I mean, it will be included in the amount of invoice like that. So in that case, it will be little different. So there will be another type of, I mean, if this is the first level where you have this option. You will also have that option in the journal name level. That is the second level actually. Here also, whenever you create a journal, you have that option, amount include sales tax. Whenever you create any transactions using this journal, either amount has to be included, amount comes up with including sales tax or excluding sales tax, or sales tax will be calculated separately, will be guided by this parameter here, amount include sales tax. Or after the journal name level, you have it at a separate journal level in this journal, which is using the same journal name, but for this specific journal, we can enable that parameter here, amount include sales tax. So this is separately for this journal, only for this particular journal batch, not for the all the journal batches created using that journal name. Only for the specific journal batch, we can enable the parameter like I did. Or I think that would be all. In the line level, I think we don't have such parameter. Let's see for this invoice journal if we have any. So invoice, no, we don't. General, I don't have this amount include sales tax here in this level. It's only at the parameter level first, then the journal name level and the journal batch level. So only at 3 levels we have this amount include sales tax option. Okay. So apply sales tax taxation rules. This is one concept which is mostly used in US. As I told you, this parameter will guide you to have how many accounts in the ledger posting group. If I enable this parameter, I will have few accounts in the ledger posting group. So I'll show you that in the USMF legal entity in the ledger posting group where you have very less accounts. So I'll just close this, change it to USMF. If I go to tax module, to the setup and ledger posting groups here. See, you have sales tax payable, but not sales tax receivable account. You don't have that sales tax receivable account. It's because this parameter is enabled in USMF, apply sales tax taxation rules, which is prominent for US. Other countries do not have this parameter enabled because they want the sales tax receivable account also to be calculated. But on the US side, they generally don't calculate taxes that they pay to the vendors. So that will be automatically accounted at the authority level, and they will anyway settle it later. But here, but for the normal other countries like in European Union or in India, so we generally use this disable this parameter so that we have different ledger posting group. We have sales tax payable account, sales tax receivable account, and use tax payable, use tax expense account, all the accounts. Another two accounts will be there. So that parameter guides it. Then we have conditional sales tax. So you see, select this option if the sales tax should not be reported and paid before the invoice is settled. Until unless the invoice is settled, you should not have sales tax payment. Normally, when you are making any advance payments or anything, sales tax should not be calculated in those advance payments, or sales tax should not be included. Only at the time of settlement of invoice only you should have sales tax enabled, or sales tax should be accounted, saying that yeah, yes, we are paying tax at this point of time. So that's conditional sales tax. Some regulation in some countries in Europe having this conditional sales tax. Then check sales tax groups. If the sales tax group have any errors or any mistakes, or you see sales tax group have any errors, how it has to be handled. If you say none means it won't consider anything. If you say warning means it will give you a warning message saying that this sales tax group is having some issue. Please correct it. Or it will give you a error message straight away saying that you cannot proceed with the journal since the sales tax group is having some issue. If you give warning means it will give a message, but it will allow you to proceed further, post the journal or post the document. Whereas it comes to none means it won't give any notification or it won't stop you even though sales tax group is having errors, you can proceed. That's up. Then tax direction requirement. So generally on the accounts payable side, tax direction is sales tax receivable. On the accounts receivable side, tax direction is sales tax payable. So automatically system will pick the sales tax direction according to the nature of the transaction. If you are using vendor, it will automatically take sales tax receivable as the tax direction. If you use a customer account in the journal or if in the invoice, it will automatically take sales tax payable as the tax direction. But there are situations where you may not use customer account or vendor account, but you are posting some miscellaneous journal like a general journal where you might have to apply sales taxes. Their system does not know if it is sales tax payable or sales tax receivable. System do not know the direction. So according to the main account that you use, it will consider the direction. But how does system understand that for main account there will be a direction of sales tax? So we can give that in the main account actually. Suppose if I open this journal, for the main account we use generally, or at the main account level, we can give the sales tax direction for the main account. Whenever we use the main account, sales tax direction should be either accounts payable or accounts receivable. We can give a condition. So it will be here in the legal entity overrides. We can select the legal entity Reliance and go to sales tax. Here you can give sales tax direction. Either it is a sales or purchase. Sales means sales tax payable. Purchase means sales tax receivable will be the direction. So you can indicate a main account, which direction it should take whenever this is selected in a particular journal. Depends. Okay, when you are not using any vendor journals or customer journals or vendor accounts or customer accounts, if you are using any miscellaneous journals, then which direction system have to consider for that particular main account should be given here. Okay, and this parameter is for requirement. So such main accounts, whatever you are using, you should definitely have a tax direction. If you do not have tax direction, it will throw a warning or error message saying that tax direction is mandatory. You can also manually give a tax direction in the journal. If you create a journal, you can change the tax direction as you wish. Either it should be tax payable or sales tax receivable. It's up to you. But coming to the vendor journals and customer journals, or vendor invoice and customer invoice, you cannot change it. Even though you change it, it is wrong. So system will automatically pick the direction of tax anyway. Then we have validate tax code. So select this option to validate the tax code that is assigned to the ledger account when you post a document. Means here in the ledger account, you can give a sales tax code here, and you can give validation option. Either it has to be validated, optional, required, or specify single valid option, multiple valid options like this. You can say required, and that will be mandatorily validate only when you enable this parameter here. So where is this one? Sorry, this one, validate tax code. Then we have auto sales tax search. Actually, this is a field where automatically sales tax will be sales tax group will be picked from the customer address. We have a feature. So if we enable this feature, actually, we can add sales taxes to the customer addresses, which is done in the sales and marketing module. So according to the address of the customer, sales tax will be automatically picked. See, some customers might have two different addresses which are located in two different countries. So taxes might change, or two different states they might have different addresses. So taxes might change according to the state that you are delivering the goods to or selling the goods to. So according to that state address, taxes will be picked automatically. So that can be assigned for customers in one in the address, actually, in the sales and marketing module. So from there, automatically the sales tax will be searched and picked into the invoices. So that's about auto sales tax search. Other than this, we have few options for cash discounts. You see here, reverse sales tax on cash discount. Select this option if sales tax should be reversed when a cash discount is granted. This selection determines the default value of new sales tax groups. But you can change the setting on the sales tax group if you select the cash discount is applied on the invoice option. This field is not available. If you select this cash discount is applied in the invoice option, this field is not available. Okay. Select this option if sales tax should be reversed when a cash discount is granted. So deduct cash discount before sales tax calculation. Okay. So generally this should be used for the calculation of taxes on the invoices. I mean, sorry, calculation of cash discount including the tax amount. Sales tax should be reversed when cash discounts are granted, actually, which means like when a cash discount is granted. Okay, got it. Suppose like I'll just close this one, not giving any condition here. I'll just remove this. Sales tax reversing in the sense. See, suppose here you see the invoice amount is 10,000. Okay, cash discount is 1,000, and sales tax calculated is 1,200. 1,200 in the sense it is calculating on the 10,000 amount. Even though there is a cash discount applicable, it is unsure, right? If we may pay the amount within the cash discount date or later the cash discount date, it is unsure. But if somebody is giving cash discount, taxes will not be affecting the cash discount. Taxes will be calculated upon the original amount of the invoice, excluding the cash discount amounts, right? But here what this parameter says is that reverse sales tax on cash discount means whenever you avail a cash discount, like 1,000 if you avail and you are paying only 9,000 to the vendor, so on that particular 1,000 tax will be reversed. Like if you are paying only 9,000 to the vendor, on the 1,000 amount, $120 of tax will be reversed, even though you have the sales tax payable accounted at the invoice level now at 1,200. At the time when you avail the cash discount and pay only 9,000 to the vendor, or I mean you are paying only the amount of the invoice excluding the cash discount. Upon the cash discount amount, the amount of tax calculated earlier will get reversed, or that $120 on the 1,000 amount will get reversed automatically. That's what it is saying here. Reverse sales tax on cash discounts. If you have any cash discounts, and if you are availing the cash discount, the tax amount that is calculated earlier on the cash discount amount will get reversed. That's what. Then deduct cash discount before sales tax calculation. So select this option to never calculate sales tax on cash discount amounts, which means like in the early stage itself, whenever you are posting the invoice, whenever you are creating the invoice, cash discount amount will be calculated excluding the tax amount. So I'm sorry, tax amount will be calculated excluding the cash discount amount. On 9,000 only tax will be calculated. That's what it meant to say. Suppose let's enable this parameter. I'll just save this. Okay, now I'll go back and create a new journal quickly. Let's see how it works. Okay, here, and let's go to lines. Select the same vendor. Invoice date as of today's date. Invoice. Again 10,000. Then select the ledger account, the expenses, okay, and save it. See here, sales tax calculated is not 1200 here, only 1080. Any idea why it is only 2080? Click on sales tax. See here, amount is calculating excluding the cash discount. System is automatically keeping the cash discount aside and calculating the taxes only on 9000 amount on the remaining amount on the invoice. So that is because of this parameter. Deduct cash discount before sales tax calculation. But most of the cases, taxes will be calculated on the original amount of the invoice regardless of the cash discount. Okay, cash discount is not considered. You have to pay the entire amount, even though the other person is giving you the cash discount. You have to pay the taxes to the government definitely. So that's what happens, or he have to pay at least the taxes. If he is selling you 1 lakh goods and if he is giving 50,000 discount means he should not escape that paying taxes from that 50,000. Either he have to pay the tax on the total 1 lakh or you have to pay the tax on total 1 lakh. If you are not paying means if his customer is not paying him means he have to pay the tax amount to the government or the authority. He will get notices. So that's how. If I disable the parameter, this is the default disabling. But if in some countries, if they have that regulation, you can enable the parameter and tax will be calculated in this way. Okay, hope this is clear. Then let's go to another parameter. Cash discount is calculated on amount including sales tax. Select this option if cash discount for vendor should be calculated based on the total invoice amount, which includes sales tax. See, normally when you see this invoice journal here in the lines, and this is a vendor invoice journal, right? Sales tax is calculating. Okay, this is calculating on the. This is let's go for this one. Okay, in this example, where you see cash discount is calculated as 1000, means cash discount is calculated on the 10,000 amount only, not on sales taxes. On the 10,000, cash discount is calculated as 1000, but 1200 tax you have to pay straight away. There is no discount in tax amount. There is only discount in the origin amount of the invoice. But if you enable this parameter, cash discount is also calculated on tax amount. Amount including sales tax, cash discount will be calculated. Let's see how it will work. Okay, I'll just enable the parameter here. Save this one. Okay, and I'll just go to another journal or create one more journal quickly. And go to lines. Select a vendor. Select the invoice and just give a number 0123. Credit the same 10,000. Okay. And select the other expenses account and select save. This is, I didn't save this maybe. This is not calculating the tax. Cash discount amount here. This. Was expecting that it should calculate cash discount amount of 10,000 plus 1200. Since I saved it now, let's create it one more time. Okay. Refresh. New. This is showing only 1000 as of now, cash discount amount. But according to this parameter, cash discount is calculated on amount including sales tax based on the total invoice amount, which includes sales tax. If you select the cash discount is applied in the invoice option, this field is not applicable. Cash discount is applied in the invoice option. Okay, so where is that field? Cash discount is applied in the invoice. This is anyway available here. So let's see how it will calculate. In case if I post this one, Here it is showing 1000 only, but for me, let's see what it will show at the time of payment. Hmm. Let's see, let's make a payment and see if it is working or not. I was guessing it should work. So tell transactions. Invoice 123 is here. Showing only 1000 cash discount. Withholding tax it is showing again. So 1000 cash discount only it is showing. Amount in transaction currency 10,200. Okay. So out of 11,200 we have to pay. We have to pay only 10,200. But I was guessing it should calculate tax on amount including sales tax. Okay. So I think this is in parallel to this parameter amount include sales tax. If you have this, the tax amount will be calculated on the cash discount. So suppose if I go to vendor invoice journal where this is here 86, where we have this option amount include sales tax. If I go to lines, you see here cash discount is calculated 1000 amount. Then even though the invoice amount is 10,000, in which already the 1071 is a tax amount included, but I can still see this is cash discount amount is calculated for 1000 including the sales tax amount. So I think this should be the parameter, or this should be the guide way that it is calculated. I'm sorry, I think we are on the wrong page actually. We are looking for the customer cash discount. So vendor cash discount option is here. This is for customer side. This is cash discount calculated on amount included. This is on the vendor side. Oops. Let's try one more time. Okay. This parameter is for customers, as you can see, customer cash discount. This is for vendor cash discount. Then what we'll do is I'll just create a new journal quickly since we have time. Go to lines, select the vendor and go with this INV something. Credit again 10,000 example and other payables. There we go. And save it. Oh, here you see cash discount calculated is now 1120. It is calculating on total 10,000 plus 1200 original amount of invoice plus tax amount. On both of them cash discount is being accounted, so that is because of this parameter vendor cash discount. Cash discount is calculated on amount including sales tax. So upon the tax amount also cash discount is being calculated, but generally that's not the scenario. There won't be any cash discounts given by the vendor, or we will not give cash discounts to our customers on the tax amount. Tax amount has to be paid straight away. If at all any cash discount that we are giving, we will mostly give it on the origin amount of the invoice. That's all. That these parameters will guide either if you enable or disable this one. Accordingly, cash discount will be calculated upon the tax amount or excluding the tax amount. So here you have mandatory item tax groups. So this is mandatory item tax groups required for free text invoices. If you enable this option, whenever you are creating a free text invoice, there should be a mandatory item sales tax group. If you do not have item sales tax group in the free text invoice lines, system will throw an error message. because you have enabled this parameter. There should be a mandatory item sales tax group. But for vendors, you don't have anything like mandatory, but yeah, you have this option for cash discount, which we have seen now. Then sales tax and overpayment and underpayment. In case if you are making payments, making a overpayment or underpayment, which is above the invoice amount or below the invoice amount, sales tax will be calculated according to that overpayment and underpayment. Or the percentage amount of sales tax is evaluated according to the overpayment and underpayment. Sometimes what people do is, suppose if the invoice amount is 10,000 and tax amount is 1,000, let's say, totally 11,000 is the invoice amount, 10,000 plus 1,000 tax, if let's say, and if the customer is paying only 5,000 to us today, out of that 5,000, 1,000 will be straight away deducted as tax and 4,000 is considered as the invoice amount. Okay, so that's how people will normally account it. If the invoice amount is 1,000 plus another 1,000, 1,000 is the tax actually. But if we have raised it to the customer is paying only 5,000, let's say. Out of this 5,000, 1,000 will be calculated as tax and 4,000 is considered to be the original amount in the invoice. So another 6,000 in the original amount of invoice is pending. That's how general accounting is done. But when we say this customer is paying only 5,000 here, according to this parameter, sales tax and overpayment and underpayment, according to this only tax will be calculated. Means whenever he pay 5,000, we can say like in this 5,000 how much amount is there, that will be calculated as cash tax, or the percentage of amount is taken as tax. Or if let's say suppose if he is paying 5,500, in this 5,500, 500 is taken as tax, 5,000 is taken as the amount in this original invoice. We can consider in that way. Our system considers it in that way. Suppose if he is paying 12,000 here, so there is an extra 1,000 amount, right? So on that 1,000 amount, whatever he paid in that tax will be included, or a separate tax will be calculated in that. So that will be there here on sales tax and overpayment or underpayment. Either you collect taxes, or you collect overpayment or underpayment from customers, or you pay overpayment or underpayment to your vendors. So taxes will be evaluated accordingly. Mostly, it's not a scenario or doesn't really fit into the scenarios of India or many countries. There would be some requirement around the world in any other country where tax has to be calculated on overpayment or underpayment. So they have this option. I think in Middle East they have this requirement. Then invoice, sales tax amount per invoice line. Select this option to update the total calculated sales tax amount on the invoice journal. When this option is cleared, no sales tax amount is updated. Which means like select this option to update total calculated sales tax amount on the invoice journal. Suppose let's enable this option and see how it is working. I just saved it. Okay. I'm going to vendor invoice journal. I refresh this. Then let's go to sales tax. Showing total amount only, right? Separately. What it is saying then. Let's go back. Let's create one more quickly and see how it is working. What's wrong in this? It's showing the same 10,000, 6%, 6% total of 12,000. I was expecting that here it will show total 12,000 directly. This one, sales tax amount per invoice line. I think this is only for reporting purpose. Total calculated sales tax amount on the invoice journal. When this option is cleared, no sales tax is updated. Let's say okay. Let's post this one and see. Print this. Print the invoice. Okay. It's printing only the journal. Let's see. Takes a while to print. Other than this, what else we have? Special report. So this one, this special report includes corrections actually. What is this means is like yesterday we have done some settlement, or day before yesterday we have done sales tax settlement where we have done original settlement first and then the correction settlement. So this option includes sales tax corrections in the sales tax payment periodic job one report actually. So it will show separately the corrections as well as the original. So this is the original payment, this is the corrections payment. If you enable this parameter, I think if you don't enable this parameter, it will show it one time in total payments. But if you enable this parameter in that particular report, it will show original amount separately and correction amount separately. I think a sales tax report that includes corrections from previous periods is not marked as a correction report. If you select this option, sales tax payment version field is not available in the sales tax payment page. If this option is cleared, you must report corrections in a separate sales tax report. That's what it is saying. I think if this option is enabled, there won't be any version like original or corrections. But if this option is cleared, you must report corrections in a separate sales tax report. So original will be separate and corrections will be separate. I think that would be the reason behind this parameter. It won't be not anything important other than that. So let's see this invoice journal. Totals, okay. I'm not sure what it is doing, but let's print this one. I think this is printing here. In this report, what it printed vendor debit credit for 10,000, ledger debit for 10,000, and it did not print the tax amount at all in this report. Thought it would also show the tax amount or in the voucher itself, but it's not showing anyway. Let's go back and let's see the voucher here. Here we have tax amounts included. Okay, 600 and 600. Fine, then that would be all guys for today.